So this is, I wouldn't say it's easier for me or for our school. I think I'm what you would call a humanitarian. Like I just love people. I love all kinds of people, and I really am looking out for people who feel like they don't belong. That really bothers me. I look for the lonely kid. I look for someone if they're being mistreated, and I make sure that they know they are loved and they're important. That's just a huge part of my practice. And we are neighbors with a reserve Pheasant Rump First Nations, Nakota. And also not far from us is White Bear First Nations, and then the other way there's Ocean Man. So in our community, we are really close and neighbors and building relationships with some wonderful people. We also have families that have moved from Ukraine, families from the Philippines. We have a family here from Egypt. I wouldn't say as many as the city centers, but we do still have like that little bit of diversity. Oh, and some kids from Korea. Um, and we are noticing, we notice some things that just the kids need help, even just how they treat each other and whatnot. But this, for me, in my teaching and in my practice, is really important. So, especially in our rural settings where cultural backgrounds are a little bit more distinct. Try to make sure I use examples in my assessments and reflect their lives using local history, regional issues, or community values. So sometimes that means adapting questions or even having students do projects that involve their families or community. And I do that a lot, but I don't force it. I also let the kids say, like, I'm like, if you want to share with us about what you're learning about your culture, because like a lot of Indigenous youth are just learning about a lot of cultural and traditional things, and they're very proud of it, so they want to share it. But there's also the a small few that they don't want to. They're tired of it. They want to research something else. So it's always an option, but it's always encouraged that it's their choice and that they can. Uh, the challenge, though, is finding the balance, being respectful without overstepping or making assumptions about what students might know or care about. So that's where relationship and really getting to know your students is very valuable and key. Um, I obviously like that's what I spend probably the first half of the year doing is just really building relationships. And now that I've been here for like my sixth year, um, obviously those relationships have been built, but they still are continually being worked on. I go regularly to cultural events. So I've gone to like Gahomies, or I've gone to, they host paint nights or sometimes a bingo night. And so I will go there and meet people, hang out with people, and get to know them in their space where they're comfortable. That's huge. That is so huge. If you ever have the opportunity. The first times I was super nervous, and just because I didn't know anybody very well. And the one time I was going to go somewhere, I was gonna go for an MMIW G, like a missing and murdered Indigenous women girls, like a walk, and the band was putting it on, and I drove by because I was so nervous, and then I was like, Jackie, no, and I turned around, I went by, I felt super uncomfortable. I felt super out of place, and I was like, this is important to know this feeling because this is how some of our students feel when they come to our school. And so it's easier to like help identify with them or talk to them about like I know how that feels. Like I also felt that way. But now the more I go, there's one of the most welcoming cultures and communities. They just like they just treat people so well. Um, so yeah, that is like about culturally. I really want to celebrate sometimes like I really want our school to be able to have flags of different places where some of our students are from, just to show that like we represent, like we care that they're here. We do art on the walls in our the high school visual art. We do art on the walls, so that's another thing. We're like we want to bring in different cultural aspects. We don't want to just have these paintings of just like basically whitewashed paintings. So we try to have either culture or word art that's basically like positivity around the school, just so that kids are seeing that, and like when people walk through here, that's what they see too, that that we're trying to represent all of that. Um, One thing I would say though about the cultural thing too, it's something that people are nervous of, and even still, with Truth and Reconciliation and with Indigenous teachings, I know you can't always do this, but the more you can get like find elders or even people of the community, Indigenous community that could come in and help teach things, the better. Because like even to this day, like I have spent a lot of time building connections, learning stories. And of course I teach it, but I always try to access an elder or someone who has that knowledge to come in and teach it because I still feel like a fraud, and that it's really not mine to teach. So if you ever have that opportunity, that is key. And I don't care how many years somebody's been teaching it for, that will always be key. I do the same thing with my other projects. So like if I'm teaching a cooking class or I'm teaching about interviewing, I bring someone who's specialized in that area, like human resources or a chef. I try to find and bring someone in to help teach some of the more deeper parts of that subject to the kids. That's so so key, like such a great thing.